You know, I sat down, and I couldn't help but ask myself, have we been completely swerved here? For weeks now, all of the conversation around the New York Knicks was centered on one thing: adding a guard. Not just any guard, but a veteran ball handler, someone with the ability to organize this team's offense, steady the pace, and provide leadership in the backcourt. That's been the storyline we've been following since July. And now, all of a sudden, new reports are surfacing suggesting the Knicks are shifting their focus entirely, turning away from guards and instead exploring the market for a power forward or center. That's a pretty big swing, and it caught me off guard. We've been told repeatedly this team wanted someone to handle the ball, create offense, and take some pressure off Jalen Brunson. And now, the reports are telling us the Knicks are looking at a EuroLeague big man, Roman Sorcin, a name that most NBA fans probably haven't heard of. Let me explain why this is raising eyebrows. First, credit where credit is due. Shout out to Ian Begley from SNY, who's been all over this story. According to him, Sorcin has drawn interest from multiple NBA teams, including the Knicks, the Heat, and the Trail Blazers, after a strong showing with the Israeli national team and Maccabi Tel Aviv. He's had games where he's absolutely gone off, dropping 31 points, grabbing rebounds, even knocking down multiple threes. That kind of versatility always stands out. But when I dug deeper into his numbers, here's where I get skeptical. On the surface, his last EuroLeague season looks strong. Nearly 16 points per game, over 6 rebounds, efficient shooting from the field, and the ability to stretch the floor with some three-point range. That's progress compared to his career averages, which were far less impressive, around 7 points and 3 boards a game. Yes, he's taken a leap, but is that leap big enough to translate to the NBA? That's the real question. Because let's be honest, one hot year in Europe doesn't guarantee success in the NBA. We've seen players dominate overseas but struggle when they get to this level. The physicality, the pace, the defensive schemes, it's all different here. And I'm just not convinced Sorcin would walk into the Knicks rotation and immediately make an impact. In fact, I think if New York were to sign him right now, he'd spend most of his rookie season buried on the bench. And here's what frustrates me the most. If this was the direction the Knicks wanted to take, why are they only making this pivot now, in September? Why wasn't this addressed in July or August, when the market was full of capable big men? A player like Chris Boucher was available weeks ago before Boston scooped him up. That would have made sense. Proven NBA production, size, and versatility. But now, the market is thin. Most of the quality options are already gone. Even worse, this move sends mixed signals. For months, the Knicks have been telling everyone, through multiple reports, that they were focused on a veteran guard. Names like Ben Simmons, Landry Shamet, and Malcolm Brogdon were thrown around as possibilities. Now, suddenly, the focus is size over ball handling. That's not just a change in strategy. It feels like a lack of direction. And listen, I get it. Maybe they think they need more front court depth. But if that's the case, then I would honestly prefer sticking with Gerson Yabusele as a backup big and giving Ariel Huckporty more minutes off the bench than scrambling for a EuroLeague project in September. If the goal is shooting and chemistry, you can go with Landry Shamet. If the goal is ball handling, you can still look at Brogdon. Those options make far more sense to me than chasing a last-minute big man who might not even contribute in year one. That's where I'm at with this. To me, this isn't just about Roman Sorcin, it's about the Knicks' overall strategy. It feels reactionary, it feels late, and it raises questions about whether this front office is locked in on a clear plan, or if they're just reacting to whatever options are left on the board. Here's where things get even more interesting. Because if the Knicks are seriously considering using their final roster spot on a European big man with no NBA experience, then I have to stop and ask, what's the actual plan here? This roster isn't in rebuild mode. It isn't in development mode. This is a team built to win right now, today, in this moment. And if you're truly a contender, you don't burn your last roster spot on a 29-year-old project who may or may not ever translate his game to the NBA. Think about it. This team has one goal: compete for a championship. Every roster decision needs to be viewed through that lens. Does this move help you in April, May, and June? Does it raise your ceiling against teams like Boston, Milwaukee, or Denver? Signing Roman Sorcin as your backup center doesn't answer yes to any of those questions. That's not a win-now move. That's not how championship teams operate. And frankly, that's how you waste an opportunity to strengthen this roster before training camp opens. So, let's lay it out clearly. Would you rather add a veteran player, someone who knows the NBA game, who can step in tomorrow and contribute in meaningful minutes behind Jalen Brunson? Or would you rather gamble on someone with no NBA track record, who's older, who's going to need development time, and who may not even crack Tom Thibodeau's rotation? For me, that's not even a decision. It's obvious. You take the veteran every single time. And here's the thing. The Knicks still have options at guard. If the concern is facilitating offense when Brunson is off the floor, there's Malcolm Brogdon, a steady hand, someone who can manage pace, keep turnovers low, and create shots for others. If the need is more perimeter shooting and spacing, you can still look at Landry Shamet. Both of those guys are battle-tested, they understand the league, and they could contribute immediately. That's exactly the type of move this front office should be making. Now, zooming out, let's talk about expectation. Because the Knicks aren't sneaking up on anyone this season, the latest FanDuel projections, shout out to them, the official sponsor providing these numbers, have New York's win total set at 53.5. That's no small thing. Vegas is essentially saying this team is going to be one of the best in the Eastern Conference. The odds reflect belief, but also caution. -104 on the over, -118 on the under. It shows the line is razor thin. The Knicks have to prove they can hit that level, but the expectation is absolutely there. And when expectations are that high, you can't afford to miss on roster construction. Not even on the 14th man. Every decision matters. Because in a conference this competitive, a single roster spot can swing depth, chemistry, or late-season matchups. That's why I don't see any logic in wasting it on a player who isn't ready for the NBA stage. Let's also not forget that entire saga we went through just a few weeks back. For what felt like an eternity, the narrative was being pushed that this team had locked in on one particular player as their main target. A player who had the resume, the accolades, and the name recognition to at least get people talking. On paper, it looked like a bold swing, someone who, in theory, could step into the role of a secondary playmaker, alleviate pressure from the primary ball handler, and bring another layer of versatility to the offense. For a while, the buzz around that idea grew so loud, it almost felt inevitable. But if you were paying close attention, if you were really watching the direction of this franchise, you could sense that something was off. Deep down, most of us knew it didn't feel right. It didn't line up with the identity this team has built. It didn't align with the culture that's been carefully crafted. And more importantly, it didn't truly address the long-term needs of this roster. It was one of those situations where the hype was louder than the logic. Eventually, reality caught up. And thankfully, the organization recognized it too. They pulled back, they recalibrated, and they avoided what could have been a costly mistake. Because let's be clear, chasing that option wasn't just a questionable move, it was a distraction. It was a detour away from the real work that needs to be done. And once that chapter closed, it became obvious where the focus had to shift to the actual areas of need: ball handling depth, reliable shooting, stability behind the starting point guard. These are the pillars that will determine how far this team goes. And that's why this sudden wave of noise around a European big feels curious. The timing, the direction, the way it suddenly popped up, it all raises questions. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly the point. Maybe this isn't the plan at all. Maybe this is classic front office strategy. Push one narrative into the spotlight while working quietly in the shadows on the real target. Create just enough smoke to keep the market guessing, to keep other teams distracted, to make sure nobody sees the true move coming until it's already done. If that's the case, I respect it. That's how the smartest organizations operate. You protect your intentions, you shield your negotiations, and you keep leverage on your side. Because in this league, Perception is power, and if you let the wrong details leak, if you let other teams know exactly who you're after, suddenly the price goes up, the leverage disappears, and the deal you wanted becomes that much harder to close. So if this chatter is nothing more than a smokescreen, then it's a brilliant one. It means the front office isn't just reacting to the market, they're shaping it. And if history has shown us anything, it's that the best teams don't always reveal their hand until the very last moment. But until we know for sure, Knicks fans are left to speculate. And here's what I'll say. Leon Rose has earned some trust. He's built this roster methodically, and he's positioned the team to contend. So if there's anyone I'm willing to believe in when it comes to making the right move at the right time, it's him. Still, I'll be watching closely, because the next move has to matter. It has to push this team closer to contention, not take a step backward. So let me put the question out there. If the choice is between a EuroLeague project or a proven NBA veteran, which direction would you take? For me, it's easy. You go with the vet, you make the smart move, and you keep the Knicks firmly on track to hit that 53-plus win benchmark and make noise in the playoffs.